When law enforcement and paramedics showed up on that March evening, the house was eerily quiet. The caller on 911 sounded frantic. A distressed voice urgently asking for assistance and claiming someone was trapped in the basement. Inside, a faint whiff of paint hung in the air. The basement door was ajar, almost inviting them to investigate further. As they descended the stairs, officers confronted a heartbreaking scene. Carolyn Tyler was on the floor holding the lifeless body of her spouse, Anna Marie Cochran. Both women were covered in blood and splattered with paint. Carolyn wept inconsolably, murmuring fragmented phrases that no one nearby could fully grasp. Puddles of spilled paint sprawled across the floor, crafting a chaotic and disorienting tableau. At first glance, it appeared to be a tragic accident. Maybe Anna had simply fallen down the stairs, but as detectives examined the situation more closely, unsettling clues began to surface. Bloodstains were found in odd locations, various items appeared to have been displaced, and the pieces of the day's events didn't fit together neatly. What first appeared to be a case of bad luck now raised a troubling question. Was this genuinely an accident, or was something much darker at play? Carolyn Tyler was born in 1965 in Massachusetts. Little is known about her early life or family history, but she was raised in the serene town of Granby in Hampshire County. Just outside Springfield, she completed her education and obtained certification as an emergency medical technician, a career that combined her desire to assist others with a dedication to making a significant impact on people's lives. Cara eventually became a member of the local fire department. Devoting herself to community service at a young age, she was known for being reserved and private, often keeping her emotions to herself. This tendency frequently left her feeling isolated and hindered her ability to forge deep connections. However, everything changed in 2002 when she crossed paths with Anna Marie Cochran, a 30-year-old paramedic whose vibrant spirit seemed to light up every room, bringing warmth into Kara's life. Anna Marie Cochran, born on July 30th, 1972 in Springfield, possessed a bold and energetic demeanor. There's little documentation about her early years. It is known that she was the daughter of William and Lucy and had a brother named Charles. Even in her youth, Anna was remarkable for her enthusiastic approach to life. With a fierce determination to seize each day, she came out to her family at the age of 16 after a dramatic incident where she vanished overnight. She was later found at a motel with another girl. Although her revelation initially shocked her parents, they ultimately accepted her for who she was. As a paramedic, she discovered a profession where her energy, kindness, and devotion could genuinely thrive. It was in this environment that she met Kara, who was 7 years older than her. Despite their differing personalities, Kara quiet and introverted while Anna was animated and social, the two quickly established a profound connection that soon developed into a romantic relationship. Their bond only deepened, and in 2005, they tied the knot in Massachusetts, becoming one of the first same-sex couples to legally marry in the state. Their shared dreams motivated them to adopt a 1-week-old baby girl in 2007, naming her Brianna, thus completing their little family. However, as time passed, their relationship faced challenges. Increasing financial issues placed escalating pressure on their once-strong partnership. Anna's impulsive spending habits resulted in mounting credit card debt, eventually soaring to $20,000. The situation spiraled when she allegedly committed fraud by opening a credit card in Kara's name, igniting fierce arguments and episodes of domestic strife. In September 2008, Anna sought a restraining order accusing Kara of physical abuse. Kara was arrested for domestic assault but firmly rejected the allegations, though Anna later dropped the charges. Their relationship remained severely fractured and tensions only escalated. By May 2009, the stress between them had hit a breaking point. On May 12th, an emergency call from their residence caught the attention of authorities, yet both women claimed it was an accident, blaming their young daughter Brianna for dialing by mistake. An emergency call from their residence caught the attention of law enforcement, yet both women claimed it was merely an accident, attributing it to young Brianna accidentally hitting the dial. Later that same day, Kara initiated divorce proceedings, highlighting just how deep the divide between them had grown in the weeks that followed. The tension between them escalated. Kara reported receiving threats, and both women pursued restraining orders against each other. A judge, mindful of the instability in their relationship, cautioned that Brianna could be taken from their care if things didn't stabilize. In June 2009, Anna rekindled a romance with a former partner, Carla, a police officer, and temporarily moved in with her. However, after accumulating $10,000 in charges on Carla's credit cards, that relationship quickly fell apart, prompting Anna to return to Kara's residence despite their financial struggles. Cara and Anna attempted to mend their marriage by embarking on a Caribbean cruise, but the getaway provided only fleeting relief from their worsening issues. By 2010, their relationship was on the brink of total collapse. Both women had started forging connections outside of the marriage, intensifying the jealousy and mistrust that had already taken root. Cara had grown close to a man named Mike, which ignited Anna's suspicions. Meanwhile, Anna built a connection with a married colleague, Mark. Using her charm and, at times, manipulative tactics, she persuaded Mark to provide her with several credit cards, ultimately amassing $7,000 in debt. By late March 2010, the marriage had hit a breaking point. On the evening of March 28th, a fierce argument broke out. After Anna found out that Cara had invited a male friend over while she was on duty, their dispute continued through a series of heated text messages. With Anna threatening to leave for good the following evening, March 29th, everything escalated to a devastating climax. Shortly after 7 p.m., Cara showed up at a neighbor's house, visibly shaken and holding Brianna. She entrusted the child to the neighbor and urgently requested them to call emergency services, explaining that Anna was lying in the basement. Cara then rushed back to her home. Unbeknownst to the community, the tragedy unfolding within would soon send shockwaves through the neighborhood. Police and paramedics arrived at the rental property within 3 minutes of the 911 call. As they entered, an officer heard Cara's frantic pleas and noticed the basement door ajar. When he descended the stairs, he was confronted with a horrifying scene. Cara was sitting on the floor, weeping and holding the lifeless body of 37-year-old Anna in her arms. Both women were covered in blood with streaks of white paint. Amid the chaos, officers began questioning Cara at the scene. She told investigators that she had spent the afternoon running errands with her daughter Brianna, allowing Anna some much-needed rest. Cara reported that Anna had returned home around 8 a.m. after completing a night shift. Although they'd recently argued, they had shared a calm family breakfast before Anna requested that she take Brianna out so that she could get some sleep before her upcoming shift. Cara said she left home with Brianna around 3 p.m., making several stops in nearby towns before arriving at a shopping mall shortly before 5 p.m. While there, she sent Anna multiple text messages but received no replies, which began to unnerve her. After approximately 30 minutes at the mall, she departed and stopped at a fast food restaurant to pick up food for Brianna, still unable to reach Anna by phone. Cara became increasingly anxious and hurried back home around 7 p.m., only to step into a nightmare. She stated that she entered the house, found Anna's body in the basement, and panicked. After bringing Brianna to a neighbor for safety, she returned to the basement and held Anna in her arms until emergency responders arrived. When asked about the circumstances surrounding the incident, Cara speculated that Anna may have fallen down the stairs. Initially, the scene appeared to corroborate this theory. Anna was discovered near an overturned paint can, with some of the spilled paint dried, while other portions were still wet. However, a closer examination unveiled troubling discrepancies that suggested something much more sinister. Forensic investigators noted that rigor mortis had already set in, indicating that Anna had been dead for several hours. Blood was found in multiple locations throughout the basement, even beneath the laundry basket. Indications suggest that the scene may have been tampered with. The paint was partially dried in certain areas and seemed to have been intentionally spilled over Anna's body. These discoveries began to seriously challenge the idea of a mere accident. Just a few days later, the autopsy results confirmed everyone's worst fears. It was determined that Anna died from strangulation. The medical examiner established that steady pressure had been applied to her neck. This pressure lasted for approximately 4 minutes, leading to her demise. Additionally, she bore 23 recent bruises, along with multiple blunt force injuries to her head. These injuries provided evidence of a brutal assault. The estimated time of death fell between 11 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon, placing Cara at home during the time of the crime. Although Cara insisted that she was out with Brianna that afternoon, the classification of Anna's death as homicide quickly cast suspicion her way. Based on her initial remarks to authorities, Kara portrayed Anna as loud, lazy, and manipulative, insinuating that her wife possessed a fiery temper. Before detectives could delve deeper into questioning, Kara sought legal representation. In the meantime, investigators started piecing together the couple's tumultuous relationship. The investigation revealed a pattern of domestic violence, financial quarrels, and mutual disdain between the pair. It also uncovered a more intricate side to Anna's life. Authorities discovered that on the morning of her death, Anna was romantically involved with a married coworker named Mark. She had texted him asking for a ride to get a new phone. Mark confirmed that he received the message and admitted that Anna had accrued a significant amount of debt on his credit cards. However, Mark maintained that he had been out of town visiting a sick sister on the day of the murder and provided receipts to substantiate his alibi. No evidence connected him to the crime. Investigators then turned their focus back to Kara. The timeline of events became a pivotal aspect of the investigation. Kara claimed she had left the house in the afternoon and returned around 7 in the evening. But security footage from nearby businesses didn't capture her in public during that time frame. The paint layer covering Anna's body raised serious questions as well. It was a specialized sealing paint that transformed from pink to white within an hour of application. When responding officers arrived, the paint remained pink, signifying it had been applied shortly before the 911 call. Moreover, there was evidence of someone attempting to wipe away bloodstains from the basement shelves and concrete floors, suggesting a deliberate effort to alter the crime scene. The layout of the scene seemed particularly suspicious. If an intruder had ended Anna's life, why would they have relocated a laundry basket and poured paint over her body? Investigators also noticed semicircular marks on the side door frame of the house, hinting that the break-in had been staged. Security footage capturing Kara's afternoon activities showed a laundry basket along with a red bag in the back of her SUV while shopping at a mall, which further underscored the possibility of a manipulated scene. Oddly enough, both the laundry basket and the red bag were absent when Kara returned home. A thorough search eventually led detectives to a dumpster where they found 3 rags, one of which appeared to be stained with what looked like blood. Despite the mounting evidence, there were no eyewitnesses or surveillance recordings that directly tied Kara to the murder complicating the case. The investigation spanned over a year, during which Kara sold her home and relocated with her daughter to her parents' house in Rhode Island. In October of 2011, she was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, marking her as the first woman in Massachusetts to face such charges for the death of her spouse. What ensued was a legally complex battle that would test the resolve of all parties involved. After an 18-month investigation, the Northwestern District Attorney publicly declared there was no doubt about Kara's culpability in Anna's death. Prosecutors asserted that Kara assaulted Anna following a heated argument, shoved her down the basement stairs, and strangled her. They alleged that Kara then sought to clean the crime scene and poured paint over Anna's body in an effort to hide evidence that aligned with their proposed timeline, as argued by the prosecution. They poured paint over Anna's body to hide any evidence that could support their alleged timeline as presented by the prosecution. The murder occurred between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. on March 29th. Just before Kara claimed to have left the house, her trial commenced on February 20th, 2013, with prosecutors portraying a marriage in turmoil. The couple allegedly owed close to $95,000 in credit card and car loan debt, leading to constant disputes and heated fights over custody. Restraining orders and domestic violence accusations intensified the situation. The prosecution contended that on the morning of the murder, Kara took Anna's life in a fit of rage and spent the afternoon trying to conceal her crime. Prosecutors asserted that Kara's actions that day, leaving the house with her daughter and returning several hours later, were part of an effort to create an alibi. They emphasized the missing red bag and laundry basket, along with the blood-stained rag discovered in a dumpster, as evidence of her attempt to eliminate incriminating evidence. Furthermore, damage to the side door, too, was presented as proof that she staged a break-in. Kara's defense team disputed the timeline and questioned the reliability of the evidence. They summoned a forensic expert who proposed that Anna's time of death was probably between 2:30 p.m. and 5:20 p.m. during which Kara claimed she was running errands. They also highlighted inconsistencies such as the deteriorated state of the blood-stained rag, which made it challenging to verify whether the blood was human or even belonged to Anna. The defense also contended that the investigation had been mismanaged and put forth other possible suspects, including Anna's co-worker Mark, who shared a complex and dubious relationship with her. Mark had initially lied about his location on the day of her death and exhibited obsessive behavior. However, his alibi ultimately stood up to scrutiny, shifting the focus back onto Kara. Kara's first trial ended on March 13, 2013, in a mistrial after the jury could not achieve a unanimous decision. A second trial in February 2014 concluded similarly, resulting in 2 hung juries. A third trial commenced in October 2016 with some procedural adjustments. This time, the prosecution permitted the jury to deliberate on both first-degree murder and the lesser charge of manslaughter, arguing that while they believed the crime was premeditated, it might also have been a sudden impulsive act. During this trial, a paint quality expert testified that the paint on Anna's body and the surrounding areas was still fresh when first responders arrived, bolstering the prosecution's argument that Kara had used it to tamper with the crime scene. Following hours of deliberation, the jury found Kara guilty of first-degree murder on October 7, 2016. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, seemingly offering closure for Anna's family. However, on September 27, 2021, the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court reversed the conviction, determining that the paint expert's testimony was unreliable and should have been excluded. The court concluded that this testimony likely swayed the jury's verdict, necessitating a new trial. Despite the overturned conviction, Kara still faced charges. She was released on $50,000 bail and returned to her family's home in Rhode Island under strict conditions, including GPS monitoring and a court-imposed curfew. Despite the setback of her overturned conviction, the district attorney's office announced that Kara would face a fourth trial scheduled for September 2023. This trial provided the prosecution with another chance to present its case. However, ongoing questions regarding the interpretation of evidence and the defense's focus on alternative suspects, such as Anna's co-worker Mark, continued to complicate the proceedings. The state's resolve to pursue the case, even after so many years, underscored its dedication to securing justice for the victim and upholding the integrity of the legal system. On September 13, 2023, Kara, still maintaining her innocence, returned to court for the fourth time. The courtroom atmosphere was tense as the trial unfolded. At last, on the 5th of October 2023, the jury rendered its verdict. Kara, now 58 years old, was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. The atmosphere was charged with tears and murmurs as the judge revoked her bail, signifying her second conviction in a case that had unfolded over more than a decade. Following the verdict, an emotional Kara was handcuffed and taken into custody while Anna's family expressed relief, feeling that justice had finally been served. Even though the case continued to ignite public debate, a week later during the sentencing hearing, prosecutors advocated for a sentence ranging from 15 to 17 years, underscoring the violent nature of the crime and Kara's calculated attempts to manipulate the scene. They recounted how Anna had suffered a slow and agonizing death by strangulation over several minutes, while the jury had determined that the act occurred in a moment of passion. The prosecution contended that it was premeditated, pointing to Kara's efforts to conceal the evidence. They also emphasized the enduring trauma inflicted on the couple's daughter Brianna, who was merely 3 years old when her mother was killed. In contrast, the defense argued that Kara had already spent a significant amount of time in custody, totaling 7 years, and urged the court to impose a fair and just sentence. They highlighted her role as an emergency medical technician, her clean criminal history, and over 40 letters of character references affirming her commitment as a mother. In a profoundly emotional moment, Brianna, now 16, addressed the court. Her heartfelt words resonated with everyone present as she spoke through tears about the anguish of losing her mother and the struggles of being apart from Kara, the only parent she had ever truly known. Brianna shared how her connection with Kara, sustained through letters, phone calls, and visits during her incarceration, had served as a beacon of strength and solace throughout the years. Brianna recalled how her mother's release in 2021, after the overturned conviction, had revitalized her life. She expressed how having Kara back had empowered her to excel in school, join sports teams, and rediscover hope. Pleading with the judge through tears, Brianna communicated her unwavering love for Kara, pleading for her release by stating, "I need my mom. Having her back means everything to me." After reflecting on the testimonies and examining the letters of support, the judge issued the final sentence on the 19th of October 2023. Kara, now 58, was sentenced to 12 to 14 years in prison for the strangulation of her wife, with the time deducted for the 7 years she had already served since her initial conviction in 2016. She is currently completing the remainder of her sentence at the Massachusetts Correctional Institution for Women. Throughout the years, Kara's case has garnered significant public attention and has been featured in documentaries such as At the Bottom of the Stairs and Descending into the Basement, the story of Anna Marie. And Kara stands as a haunting reminder of how personal relationships can devolve into fatal violence. It underscores the intricate nature of human emotions and the tragic repercussions that can occur when disputes remain unresolved. If you found this case intriguing, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We release crime case videos every night. Until next time, stay aware, stay alert.